So, Gurinder, I'm a big fan of your movies, from It Like Beckham to Bride and Prejudice. I've watched them all. Now you have Christmas Karma coming out. So, what can we expect as an audience for this latest film?
Well, I've always wanted to make a Christmas film because I love It's a Wonderful Life by Frank Capra. So this is my sort of British version of a Capra film. And it's Charles Dickens updated. And when I wrote the film, I actually wrote it during COVID. I could not have imagined what the world would look like from those days to today. So it's, I hope, a very soothing balm on quite a polarized world right now.
There's been a lot of turbulence when it comes to post-COVID, lower box office numbers, the SAG-AFTRA strikes, now potentially the threat of tariffs. How do you view the industry now?
I think personally, for me as a filmmaker, I think it's a pretty harsh time right now for filmmakers. I think COVID, of course, put us all out for 2 years. Then we had the actor strike and everything shut down. And I think we're sort of still recovering from that, really. I think film is a high risk business, and one cannot underestimate the impact that streamers have had in this whole area. I mean, it's people are coming back to the cinemas, but slowly. And with streamers, you basically got 2 or 3 options, and if they're not wanting to do your film as a filmmaker, you're stuck. Whereas before you had a lot more other options for independent filmmaking. So I think that really is something that if we want a film industry, we've got to go back to the cinema and start celebrating British film and enjoying British film on a big screen, as well as streamers. Of course, they have their part. I mean, I watch Amazon and Netflix movies. It's so convenient. But as an industry, I think we actually need more production diversity, more diversity of viewership, of audiences coming to the cinema. And this is a global thing. It's not just in Britain. I think the whole world, the film industry of the whole world is trying to find a new way to get people to celebrate independent cinema.
And you mentioned diversity there, and you mentioned globalization. So I want to ask you about this threat of potential tariffs from President Donald Trump in the US on non-US made films. How do you feel about that as a director, especially when this industry is so collaborative globally?
I think it's very hard to quantify what makes an American film these days, because so much of the work is outsourced. A lot of visual effects happen in India, even in British cinema. A lot of visual effects happen in different parts of the world. The marketing of movies happens globally. The actors come from all over the world. Writers, directors, talent is international. It is an international film industry. But I understand what he's saying in terms of people losing jobs, local jobs. I mean, that's why we have the tax credit in the UK, so that we can nurture and encourage British talent. So we have a British film industry. So I think I'm not sure that tariffs are practical, but I think we have to look at the message behind that, which is that every country is trying to protect its own film industry.
Is it something that you'd hope that maybe in a trade deal with the UK and the US, maybe that's something that the Prime Minister, given that the film industry is so important to the UK, and you were actually on that India or that delegation, that trade delegation to India, do you think that's something that you'd hope maybe in the US UK trade deal, that's something that could be brought into that?
Well, I was part of the Keir Starmer trade delegation to India, which looked at various trade initiatives because Britain really needs the India market. If it's not what America is looking to, one of the fastest growing economies in the world. And I was there really to talk about the culture industries and film. And they do like to come to England and film, and they do bring their production dollars to us. production rupees or pounds. At the same time, we have a massive Indian diaspora who love to watch their films. So for a lot of our cinemas in the UK, a lot of them are being kept afloat because of Hindi films that come over, and Indian audiences go, Asian audiences, I should say, go to these films and buy all the popcorn and everything. So we are interdependent, definitely, but film can be big business. We bring a lot of money into the UK economy with film, and I think not only that, we are also important culturally in reflecting who we are as a nation. No one loves a good British film success story, more than us, and so I think that we will continue to have our place in the world, but I think it's getting harder, and we do need international trade agreements to help support us.
I also spoke to Zygi Kamasa, the distributor of Christmas Karma and CEO of True Brit Entertainment, about the state of play of the UK film industry and the future of film distribution. First of all, how concerned are you about these potential tariffs by President Trump on the film industry?
Well, obviously, any tariffs, if they actually materialize, obviously could be damaging, because the American market is still a strong market for any British film that we make here. They export globally. That said, they're approximately around 20-25% of our global revenues is from the US. There's still 75% from the rest of the world. So it's not entirely damaging, but as I said, it wouldn't be a good thing at all.
So then how much of a big impact do you think it could have, as a UK film distributor?
So for the films that we make in the UK, I think it's part of the financing. Financing British movies is not easy in the first place. We have to take a gamble and risk on what the value of that film could be for the American marketplace. And so I think it could damage the potential of financing independent films, which is tough enough already without this imposed on us as well. But as I said, that's if it actually materializes. As we know, Trump says one thing and doesn't always do another.
So I was talking to Gurinder Chadha, and she was saying that she was on that delegation that went with the Prime Minister over to India. Can you talk to me about some of those, the importance of those, I guess, partnerships globally, like we saw with India and the UK, and kind of working together when it comes to the film industries?
I think, the creative industries and film in particular is a very, very big part of the global economy. We've been one of the fastest growing industries the last decade across all industries in the UK, the creative industries. And so it's great that we see the government realizing how important that is. And to be able to continue that growth, we have to find ways of partnering with European countries. It is a global it is a global product. A film here will take a large amount of money in the UK cinemas, but will travel across the world. Take an example of It Like Beckham, which I mentioned earlier. It was a huge success. But we only grossed, we only grossed 15% of its global box office in the UK. 85% was taken elsewhere. About 25% in the US, obviously. But that shows that it's a global product, and therefore the more partnerships we can encourage between obviously countries like India and European countries, the better.
And of course, the film that you're working on, the Christmas, or that's set to be released, I should say, Christmas Karma, that has this Bollywood twist in it. So any thoughts that you had on that?
Well, it's credit to Gurinder, who's always made films with a diverse, multicultural twist to them. She's always embraced the Bollywood community within her films, going right back to It Like Beckham. So this is another example of that. This is an adaptation of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, but Gurinder's given it that wonderful Indian flavor with a mixture of Bhangra music to pop music in it. I think what Gurinder's done is she wanted to create a classic that people can come out at Christmas and just laugh, smile, cry, and feel good.